How we doing?
Looks good. You can see the mountains behind you now.
Nice. Yeah, check it out on your phone. Make sure the audio is working. All right, guys. Good morning. We're reporting live from Julian, California, just a couple miles away. We were able to find this Airbnb like 7 minutes from the starting lineup. I'm not gonna tell you the link, so you're gonna take it from us for next year. So I'm here with Victoria. We survived, so we're gonna go over um, everything from why she decided to do 50 miles, and her training. I think it's important because it comes with challenges. It never goes exactly how we think it's gonna go. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Victoria, and I just want to ask her, how did it come about, like signing up for Anza Borrego Cuyamaca 50 miler?
Okay, well, earlier this year I did my first 50K at your race in April, and that was a great experience. And I knew that I wanted to do something a little bit more than that, but I wasn't sure. And and I was planning on actually doing high rocks around this time, but that wasn't really panning out for me because of the tickets that we were trying to get for different cities. And I just thought, you know what? I feel like this is just not meant for me right now. And I want to try to do another race. And so I think it was around July, I decided I'm going to put High Rocks on the back burner and I'm going to look for another ultra race. I felt confident that I could do a 50 miler and train for it with enough time. So I was looking for one. I was actually planning on doing a San Francisco 50 miler, but after crewing Lorena for her AC 100 and talking to her about that during our time on the trail, she mentioned this race to me, the ABC race, and I looked it up right after, like literally the next day I looked it up. I seen how beautiful it was, and I decided to just sign up. And so that's how it started. It was just like something that I felt interested in. And then I always believe that when people bring things up to you and they spark your interest, that's something that's meant for you. So when she brought that up and instantly I was intrigued, I knew that I needed to do it. And then that evolved into something else. Like I, I didn't really have a huge why, but that changed during my training period. I, all of the running that I started to do during the training period, I felt like I was getting closer to why I was meant to do that.
So before we go into, because I think what I wanted to do with this video, so it's very hard like to put into context in just like a video or a post what you experienced there. You like they say, you got to be there to really know what we went through. But um, when we do these videos, not everybody like if it's someone from her gym, they know her, they probably know her story. If it's someone from my side of my events, they probably do too. But these videos are on YouTube public, so um, this one is labeled Anza Borrego. There's not a lot of videos, so people will see him.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to go into more detail of the actual race, what it was, everything about it. But for context, you did a bunch of half marathons after your whole journey with weight loss, coaching, and all of that. We did share at the other episode, um, but you haven't done an official marathon, right?
No,
Yeah, there you
I
go.
kind of skipped that. So if you're unfamiliar with me, I come from I started my fitness journey about 15 years ago. That came from a weight loss that was started as a weight loss journey, and then I discovered that I loved anything involving fitness. So I got into like strength training, bodybuilding, spinning. You know, I've tried CrossFit. I've done all kinds of things, and then I started to use the things that I loved in events. So I started doing like Spartan races, decas, high rocks, um, just any type of functional fitness competitions. I fell in love with all of that, and then and I thought that that's where I was going to stay. Um, until I started to want to shorten my weaknesses, which I always felt was running because it wasn't something that I loved to do. And I started with a 5K. Then the same year I did a 10K, and then I did a half marathon, and then I did a 50K, and then that was how it went for me. And then me wanting to shorten that weakness, I found that running, especially long distance running, took me to very deep places, and I think that that's why I love it so much, because I feel like, honestly, like I get really really deep and I get really close to God, and it's like a high. So that's why I love it.
And I I don't like talk shit about like any other kind of fitness, but there's everything, you know. But I don't think I personally I think finding a passion for fitness, and if you get really fast at 5Ks, 10Ks, then you could probably do the same. But I just don't think just what she mentioned, you're feeling closer to God. I was just telling my son and Melly as we were driving back yesterday, because they were saying, man, this crazy road is so dark. And I said, now imagine being in there, because we were driving through the things. And I did tell him, you know, being in this area, Cuyamaca, all these natives that lived out here a long time ago, there's 100% different energy. When you cross into Anza, Borrego, same thing. So I agree with her. Well, I don't think if you run the block of 5K, you're gonna find those. So that's why we do this ultra marathon. So with that said, so you signed up,
Yeah, and I
training.
and I also always have believed in not staying too comfortable. So like I don't want to repeat things that I've already done, or like just continue to stay where I know that I can get it done. I do want to push myself, challenge myself. That's just always been me, and I do believe that's why I am where I am. If you have followed me for a very long time, you you wouldn't believe my story unless you have seen it. So, and that has my transformation, my evolution has happened because I just try to, or I don't try to, stay where I'm comfortable. I do challenge myself, and that's just for my self confidence. That's why I do that.
So someone at home trying to do a 50 miler, so because that's what we were gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, we both decided that we're gonna follow a training plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell right away she followed much better than me. But even with her, so we had this schedule every week. We had certain miles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how did that go? Kind of like, you know, we don't want to go through the whole thing, but kind of like in the beginning, the middle, and the end, had like the whole training plan.
So it was 16 weeks. I would say like the first 4 weeks were like I didn't miss a run. And the first time that I did have to miss a run, I was so devastated by it because I somewhat like hold myself to a standard. So I felt like I failed myself. But I do a whole lot of things, on top of running. Like I do strength training. I still continue with hybrid workouts. I am also a full-time coach, so I'm coaching from 5 a.m. all the way until 9 p.m. So my body, like, with all of that, it caught up to my body, and I had to take a break. And Victor talked me down. He's just like, you have to listen to your body too. Like, it's a plan to follow, but it also can be, like, changed based off of your lifestyle if needed. And I, I accepted that I was also going to need to, let go of a couple of things that were not a priority to make that a priority. So, yeah, I had to change my running schedules. Some weeks I could not get in that long run, and that really got to me. But I also just stayed focused on doing what I could when I could. Um, so yeah, my training after, I think, the first month was up and down, but I didn't feel bad about it because I knew that I was doing what I could do.
Um, and then when it comes to the training, you can come from what would you say is your background, like strength and
Yeah.
conditioning, strength conditioning. So she's
Yes.
freaking fit. Like I can tell you that. I mean, you can see her legs. Like she's pretty fit. So she already has. in that sense, a little of the advantage on the strength. A lot of the runners, freaking chicken legs, we don't have like the strength on our legs, so then we have to do more of that, but we might be a little more gifted on some of the other areas. Me personally, I can run down hills without any training, like if I was training for it, but I don't know, I kind of make a joke about it. I am like right now 198, so I mean, when that weight and gravity starts going down, I can't stop it, man. I just go, but I am blessed that I don't have problems with my knees running that way. But so everybody has sometimes a little more on the running, less on the strength. So you kind of have to work on those things. And I'll share a little bit about my training plan, which it only lasted for a month, I think. So right around, what was it, October, when my race comes around, and there's no excuse, it's just that reality. That's why I give so much respect and props to anyone, the people that are getting in 50, 60, 70, 80 miles per week, because that's like a freaking job, man. But essentially, long story short, my month of October, um, I think was still close to, I think 100 miles by November. So I ran 26 miles last month, and now I had to run 50 in one day. So that's not the best. Don't do that. But in my case, I did ask her, "Do you want me to, like, run with you this race?" There's stuff that she's very, what would you say? It's like,
Particular.
yeah, particular, but just running, and she gets into her own mindset, and it's out there. And I'm the opposite. Probably I would be a little fast if I didn't talk to every person on the trails and advertise my race and tell them to come do my race, because I want people to come push themselves. So with that said, I wasn't sure if she wanted to like be out there by herself. And when we talk about the actual race, yeah, that's not happening, because you're out there by your freaking self for miles and miles, and I would have sucked if she was by herself. So I decided, yeah, I'm gonna do it. But there was a few days before that race where I was just thinking, and I probably jokingly told her, like, maybe you want to do it by yourself, because I was just thinking, even if you've done a bunch of races before, 100 milers, there's always like something back in your mind where you just like doubt yourself a little bit, and you're just like, I don't know. But once we line up and when we're gonna start, we both knew that just somehow, some way, we're gonna get this shit done. You know what I mean? And that's when we'll dive a little more into, what place we took. So when they ask you how you do at the race, we didn't win the fucking race. Not just that, but which before my last race in October, and we have George behind the camera. Before that, I did put out something about making an award for the DFL, which is, some people say more correctly or political correct, say dead freaking last. No, it's dead fucking last. So that's the DFL, and I joked at it, but so you see at the end, we were the last fucking finishers. But we go more into that point. But we're literally the race director. We got our medals and everything, and the fucking lights went off because there was somebody behind us, but I guess they dropped. But anyways, so should we just talk about the race day now, or
Um,
what do you want to talk about?
I think I think that's
Race day.
it.
Race day?
Oh, I was gonna say something about just going back to my background, because maybe some more people can relate to this. I, like he said, I come from like more of a strength background. So like strength training, for so many years, and also being a strength coach, and doing conditioning. So I'm pretty conditioned, but endurance training is a whole completely different thing. And I knew that I was going to have to learn, like there was going to be a lot of trial and error, um, and in this experience, the amount of calories I was burning, changing my diet to adjust to that, a few times. It's just, I was also like, that was also something that I was not struggling with, but working through, because I mean, I also coach nutrition, as well. So I know how important it is to fuel yourself for these types of things. And I learned a lot. And I really was open to this experience because I want to help people that are like me. I think there is a lot of people that are like on the strength side, are in the gym more than they're outside, and they're wanting to get into these endurance sports. But it is an adjustment. It's an adjustment diet wise. It's an adjustment, with recovery, and also just making sure that you're splitting your days so that way you can last through your training to make it to the event. So yeah, that was a whole experience that I really wanted to take on too, um, to be able to help other people with that. So,
And
anyways.
another adjustment is lifestyle. in this case, I mean, there might be some people at home that their partner does this. Like with us, we ran it together. I mean, that makes it a whole different, easier. We had Rocky and Lorena with us. We paced Lorena,
Hmm.
and that's like a whole different chapter to do maybe with couples and how that works. But I can tell you, it does make it way easier because your lifestyle changes a little bit. Your weekends do kind of revolve around, like you have to stick in a freaking 4 or 5 hours of running. So now if your partner's not, they have to be supportive first of all, if they're not in it. But if they're
Yeah.
in it, then you're gonna run together. But lifestyle also has to get adjusted a little bit. So yeah, with that said, let's
Get
dive
into
into
the
the
race.
race. First of all, it's best known as ABC 50. It's Anza Borrego, Cuyamaca 50. Um, and that race starts right here in Julian. We're literally like 7 minutes away from it. And not seven, yeah, it was like 7 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like 7 minutes away, and you could see it's freaking awesome. And it goes through the mountains. We call it from the mountains to the desert. Because yeah, and that's what I do. I love the race. It's you go through a bunch of different sceneries,
Hmm.
and then about a mile 35, you cross into the Anza Borrego state. I believe it's a state park, and so you get to go through the mountains to the desert, and that's kind of like a little bit about the race. Which I actually ran this race 2 years ago, and the reason that I ran it is because we were gifted some bibs for Oso Negro, and I just needed to not learn, but use the poles for the first time. And I was like, well, what better way than 50 miles with the pole? We come out here, and so I had my experience, a lot of the terrain. I knew what was next and everything. One of the different things for me for this race is that most of the race, even when I ran the Born to Run 100 miler, my parents were there, but I wouldn't say they were crewing. My dad ended up doing 20 miles with me, but I never really have drop bags. They do have that option if you want to drop it back at certain miles. But my sons were here and Nick's girlfriend. So that was kind of cool to kind of want to include them and just be part of the experience. I believe I burned down my kids from all those Spartan years and just dragging them through a bunch of races. So I wanted them to be a little experience for them. So we did plan that this was like a plus for me because I never have nothing out there. So a mile 25, which it was a transition point, we were gonna have. We bought this big ass sandwich from the store, and we had this cooler with a bunch of stuff. We were gonna change our socks. We're gonna do all of that. So it didn't happen. So now we're gonna go from the beginning. So start mile one. What are your feelings when you get one thing you were worrying about is the weather. It was cold in the morning, but
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a person that's always cold, so I don't know. That's the one thing that concerned me more than anything.
The day before the race morning, how did you feel?
Like as far as just like
Like feelings and like how strong did you feel?
I felt I felt excited that it was finally here because I was saying that it was like you have all of these like you're making up all these things in your mind of what it's going to be and you just are ready to experience it. So I was excited. um, I wasn't nervous. I just felt excited. Maybe I was subconsciously a little nervous because I could not sleep the night before. I think I might have gotten like 3 hours of solid sleep because I kept waking up, and I usually don't have a hard time sleeping. So I I even like turned over to you, and I was like, I can't sleep. And I didn't almost, it's like I didn't want to like say it because I'm like in my head I'm like, just go to sleep, go to
what I
sleep.
tell you,
And he's like, I can't sleep
dude,
either.
I don't know, man. I've been
And this was probably like at 1 in the morning,
fucking.
and we had to be. I had planned to wake up at 4:30 to like have. I like to. Anytime I'm doing an event, I like to wake up like 2 hours beforehand because I just like want to do like my ritual. Like I like drink my coffee, and then I'm like, I take a shower. Even if I'm gonna be outside running, I like to take a shower before every event. Yeah, I'll eat, like give myself time to digest that. So, anyways,
So the
I'm like,
call, but what did I tell you about the call? As the
anyways,
least of your
so yeah,
worries.
he said that's the least of your worries, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know, I don't care. Anyways, um, yeah, I felt a little bit excited and slightly anxious just to get to it already, and the day of, I was pumped. I was like, yeah, let's do this.
So we get there. Uh, Pretty much, it was awesome that we were so close to it. My son Richie dropped us off 5 minutes before the start line. And this race, by the way, when you start out, it's not like a festival area. There's not a starting lineup. It's just people gathering at the trailhead. And yeah, 5 minutes before we pull up, we see a few people, friends of ours, Leslie. Then we start seeing Jose, Cindy, and other people. And
And
pretty
I
much
think
there's not much time
I
to it.
think that's what gets you excited too,
Yeah,
is seeing
start seeing
people
your
that you
friends.
know. So yeah, that definitely adds to the excitement.
Yeah, it makes it better. So the first, just so you guys know, the first 10 miles is pretty much, I would say 6, 7 miles. It's just downhill, gradual downhill. So how was the first 10 miles for you? I know that
They
we're
were
pretty
good.
crisp, right?
We
We're just
felt really
rushing.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. And then at one point, I think what was it, like mile, then you start climbing. But actually, the climbs felt easier than what I
Yeah.
thought before. Everything was like nice. She kept making comments about the landscape, how beautiful it was. We started meeting different people. So some people that already knew me, and then say hi. Then I'm chatting away, and then Victoria's doing her thing, running around. I think one part that I don't know how you felt, but when we were like a mile 14, we're like, okay, what's the next station? Because we were almost finishing all of our water and all of our stuff, and we're like, we knew Leslie was at the mile. I didn't really know the mile, but I knew it was the third aid station. I don't know. I know for me, because I was thinking more like 18, ended up being close to 20 mile to get there. It kind of dragged us a little bit because we were just trying to get there, trying to get there. And it seems like the whole thing looked the same.
Well, I think like aid stations give you new life. Like
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward
even
to
if
it.
you're not gonna stay and like mingle, you're just passing by. It just gives you like, I don't know what it does to your mind. It just makes you feel like, okay, next point. Like, I don't know.
And you were having already some pain. Was it your left knee?
I was, but I didn't like, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to give it any like energy. You know, I could feel like the like knee pain kind of starting to come on, or like the tightness. And I'm just like, okay, I just hope that they have some things that they can help me with, which they did. They sprayed
Yeah, Jose hooked you up with
some
some
stuff,
spray.
and and I was good. I was like, okay, I'm not. I already knew that that was potentially going to happen, so my mind was already prepared for that, and it was not going to be like an eliminating factor for me. Like that was not going to be an something that I was going to let get to me.
One comment that I did make to Victoria and another Ellie was her name, Ellie, some lady that boy
Eli,
Eli.
Eli.
Okay, Eli. We met her and she was with us for some time, and I just told both of them that was the easiest half marathon ever, and we were just talking about that, like, because we have 50 miles, half marathons is like nothing, and it really got there pretty fast. Um, but I would say up to the aid station, mile 20, we were pretty much kind of cruising. It was having a good time. I believe right after that, that's when the freaking race started for us
Yeah,
because,
I don't think that I felt, honestly, I felt really good.
yeah,
Like
it's almost a
physically,
marathon, but
it was not, I felt good the whole time except for like towards the end. Yeah.
yeah. But at that point, there was nothing about like, okay, we need to go faster. We need to go. We're just trying to finish, right? Trying to get and then I'm thinking like 2 years ago when I did it, I think it took me 13 hours and 30 minutes, and there was still like 50, 60 people behind us, like at that time. So, but at that point, I'm looking at the time, and it's like, oh shit, like the climb from mile 20 to 25. I was thinking initially that we were gonna be at at the aid station, which the cutoff time on mile 25 was 2 p.m. So I'm thinking, I was telling my boys, try to be there like 12, 12:30, but let's see how we go. Nah, man, we got to that freaking aid station at like, it was like 1:40. I think it was
I don't think
1:40.
so.
Yeah, it was pretty close. Not too close, but it was like 30 minutes. And from there on, there was actually a few people that they chose not to continue because they were like, oh, the next aid station is another 10-mile stretch, and you got to climb right in front of you, and you have to get to the other area at by 4:30 p.m.
Hmm.
And at that point, I looked at the pace, and I was like, we're gonna have to be doing almost like 15-minute pace. And now, if you're a little familiar with pacing and stuff on the trails, 15-minute pace is not, you can't, it's not hiking. It's like you have to be moving, and at
And
that
we were about
point,
to climb.
yeah, we're about to
So
climb, man,
to know
and
that is like puts the pressure on.
so now, earlier she said about the knee pain, but she didn't mention anything. The thing about it that I learned, or what I try to use when I'm out there on the trails, I always say that I try to be the light for other people. Because let me tell you, I go through my own stuff. I am 46. Like I've been running for a long time.
And you
It-
did. You
yeah,
did this race.
yeah, and you're not preparing and things like that. But I just know that, again, Victoria's big on words and what we say. And if she starts complaining or just voicing her what concerns, whatever is going on,
Just
but
yeah, giving
but
life to
also
it.
there's also one thing of saying, hey, this is, I'm dealing with this. Another time is like people get angry, people get like there can be a lot of that on the trails when people get frustrated. I can tell you there was none of that. But I had my own freaking issues. So when we got to there, my whole freaking, I was just thinking the whole freaking last 10 miles that I'm going to have my freaking sandwich. I'm going to have a freaking soda. I'm going to like, refuel. Nah, none of that happened. My sons, they were there with their stuff, but we were like now realizing that we're going to have to be going faster than we've been going just to make the cutoff time. So that there's no sandwich. At that point, we're just surviving on goose and liquid carbs. And one thing that I remember vividly is that we did a race in Fresno, the pink, what is it called?
The goat challenge.
Yeah,
It's the pincushion climb.
yeah. And that race is a 1 mile climb as many times as you can, about a mile for 4 hours. In that race, she ended up doing 6 laps. I did four. I really thought I was going to do more than her, but I know she can climb and she has strong freaking legs. So at that point, honestly, I couldn't eat my sandwich. I'm feeling pretty depleted. And now we're gonna climb this thing. And again, if this guy Marcelo, who I know, and he's a beast, man. He's done 200 milers. I see that he turns back because he's looking at those 10 miles. He's just like, probably not gonna make it. I'm thinking, shit, he was in front of us, but we're gonna go. And at that point, I think the entire race, I was in front of her, always setting the pace, going a little faster, and then kind of waiting a little bit when I could. But at that point, I knew she was probably going to climb, especially when I told her that we're going to have to push to get through the cutoff time. And she was not going to show up and not get it done. You kept saying that you told your mom, your dad, that you were going to do this live, and there's no way you're not going to finish it. So I get behind her, and she starts climbing pretty freaking strong, man. And at that point, dude, life's sucking for me because I'm like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to say anything, but it's just like,
Yeah,
ugh.
I knew you were going through it because you were really quiet.
Oh, yeah, because I talked the whole time,
And I was
but
like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna even ask him if he's okay because then that might just open up the door. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna like, he's probably in his head. I know that's how I get, and let him be. And I know that I just
But
need to be.
the weird thing about it that I was thinking the opposite. I knew that like, because I know sometimes you don't want me to say things that are gonna make you worry or pressure more. So I wasn't really like nothing. I was just not feeling good, but I wanted like I purposely actually didn't want to say anything. I was just gonna let her climb and climb, and I was not gonna say anything. But no, that climb sucked, man. And then at one point we couldn't see ribbons for a while. So then we were thinking like, dude, I was just climbing for nothing. And then, anyways, long story short, we get to the top, and now we start running down. But it's a description on the course. Once you climb the last climb, it's nothing but rocks, man. I feel like every time I step, every freaking rock was being felt. And then I kept telling her, we'll do a mile. And I'll be like, okay, that mile was like 14. That mile was 16. We need to keep going. And then the time kept feeling shorter and shorter, even though we were kind of like doing it. Now at this point, the stretch from mile 25 to 35, I believe that the final results, there was 28 or 29 DNFs. I can tell you in that area, we at least passed, or that of those DNFs, there was a handful, like at least 10, 15 in that area. So you're seeing people that are just dropping. For me, mentally, it's like, well, that kind of sucks, but you just got to keep going. So we get to I think I told you, there's this big tree. I don't know if you remember, Jorge. There's a tree before you run down into the aid station on mile 35. And at that point,
Yeah.
yeah, at that point, though, I thought I was gonna freaking pass out though, because I was again very depleted, no real
Is
food.
that a long stretch
Oh yeah, dude. And
single trek?
yes, and that at that point, the problem was that I was relying that I was gonna actually have a food at mile 25. Once I didn't, I didn't even look at her. I just kind of like I said, "You have anything left on you?" I don't have anything. And she gave me a go. I didn't even look back because we were trying to keep pace. And then I ate that goop. But I'm serious, dude. Right before that, I felt like I was gonna faint, dude. So from there on, I was looking at the time, dude. And the other thing that made it challenging is that the course description and this always happens. Like the mileage is mile 35, but I was looking at, is it really mile 35? And it wasn't, dude. It was more than 35 on
Mm-hmm.
my watch. So now I'm not looking at like one more mile left. I'm looking at a mile and a half. So now I'm like, that throws off my little numbers.
Yeah.
So I pushed, I was still able to push a little faster. I got ahead of Victoria because I was thinking, I'm going to get there. I'm going to give my bib number and I'm going to say Victoria is right behind. And sure enough, I get there and the cutoff time was 4:30. And I looked at one of the staff members and I see everybody that was in front of us, they started sitting around, and I'm thinking, yeah, everybody's cut off now. But it was like I said, about a few minutes, 3 minutes maybe after the cutoff time, and I looked at him, and he said, yeah, the cutoff time is at 4:30. I'm like, it's like 4:33, and this is our first 50 miler. And I was willing, not willing, but I mean, you got to follow the rules, and if it's over, it's over. But I was like, dude, 3 minutes? And he said, you ready to go? I'm like, shh. We just start grabbing things, like, grab what you need and go. So we continue. And at the same time, at that moment, I was like, man, like, low key, I was thinking, hey, I'm going to text Nikki. I guess they cut us off, get those burgers ready. But I knew how much it meant for her. But obviously, I was not going to say no. We're going to go. So when we get there, did you knew that they were going to let us continue? Because you camped in a little bit. What did you think?
I always had hope. Like I never lost hope.
But you
Even
were aware that we
yeah, it
were.
was obviously in my mind, but I also felt like they have to like understand, like, or they have to like have a grace period, or like, you know what I mean? Like I just never felt like I just didn't feel it. I just didn't feel like that was the end. My mind didn't go to like already giving up, like, or already like ready to just be like, okay, I'll accept that. I was just kind of like, I feel like they're gonna like we're gonna be able to keep going because we very fast. We got our stuff, and we were out. And as if there is a possibility, like I'm gonna keep going. Like I'm not even going to let my mind think otherwise. And I I just feel like for this race, my mindset was so locked in. Like you go through all of these things when you're training, right? Like you have your bad days where you're like resisting it, like where I always say that when you know you need to do it, but you're kind of complaining all day, like, I don't want to do this run, and like, oh, I feel tired. And then you're out there running and you're kind of bitching about it and complaining. I mean, you've been with me when I'm like that, when I have those days where I'm like, don't talk to me. Like,
20-mile loop.
it's not you, right? It's me. Like, it's not, even though I'm taking it out on him or,
You being mad at me because I took her to do that
wait,
20
wait.
mile loop.
Well, even though I'm taking it
Yes.
out on him, honestly, it's always about you. It's where you're at, right? So I already like had this conversation with myself, like I'm not going to resist any piece of this. I'm going to accept everything. And that's with like the distance, that's with the pains, the aches, like all the challenges. I was fine with it. So when every time we had to do something like that, like get to a certain point at a certain time, I was just like, there's a possibility. I believe that God didn't bring me this far to bring me this far. We're gonna be able to get through it. And so when I looked at him and I said, "Are they gonna let us go?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go." And like my mind just never dropped like hope.
And again, we can only share that stuff, but I mean, you had to live it to know. But those fucking 10 miles, man, right there, that was a grinder, man. Like, yeah, I was just, yeah, we were one of the fastest that
I
we
mean,
had.
for me, I went back to like the training days where I was like running at a certain pace for like a long period, like we're pacing at for a certain amount of time, and I mean for a long distance training runs, and I'm thinking this is just like a training run, and like you're just like making sure that you keep your form and like just stay calm, stay loose, just don't get too excited, like don't let the anxiety of the time get to you, because that's when I think like I think that you just start overthinking it, and then that gets to that gets to your heart.
Well, for me, there was no going back to no training because my freaking training, I ran outside with my umbrella when it was raining for 3 miles, and there was nothing to go back to. But it does go back to, you do gain experience from, now for me, it's been, what, 12 years of doing what I do. I've been in some really, like, hard races, and that definitely builds your mentality. I know that I can put myself, even with no training, which, again, is not what you want to do, and I do want to talk about a little more of that. Um, comes down to a mental, I don't know the reasons for everybody else, those other 28, 30 people that didn't continue. So when people say I didn't continue because of injury, I'm not a doctor, but the, if I can tell you that everyone doing 50 miles, maybe except for the elites, but maybe even them too, like everybody at 50 miles, you're hurting in some way or not. Um, we'll share more how it was after the race. We were fucked. Like after the race, not even like when we got home in this morning, I'm hurting, man. But again, if you had to be there for what we experienced in those 10 miles, but it was like, I don't know how many times I kept saying, let's go, you got this, you got to find another gear. But I already know that, like, and I want to share this, and that's why I do admire her. I already been like impressed by her mental toughness and just her grit, because when we're running and I go on those long stretches where I will pick up the speed, and I was looking at my watch and I will hit like sometimes 8 minute pace, then I will stop because once I was getting too far from her, I will get her rest because I would wait until she got to me. But she's pushing to her limits, and I know that she can't go any faster. But I gotta keep repeating, like, we got this time, we got this time. That was 14 minutes, and I knew that every time she got to me, she was not gonna rest because I'm gonna take off again, and we kept doing that. So for her, from mile 25 to mile 50, it was nonstop for her. It was a fucking grind. So, anyways, we allowed to continue. We grab our stuff. We literally cross into the sign that says, "Welcome to." I don't even know if it says welcome, but it's Anza Borrego State Park, and it was at sunset. And it was just like a fucking majestic, man. We're just sitting there like, okay, cool, you got what you wanted. A couple minutes off the cutoff, but we're gonna continue. Now it's like, oh shit, let's take our, where's our headlamps to get our stuff out, get our windbreakers, whatever. Now we got 15 miles of nothing, nobody. Because again, the ones that were, I guess, behind, they dropped. So for next 15 miles at nighttime, it's getting cold and everything. We're out there and same thing. Again, now I'm thinking that we got new life and we got like extra cushion. It was no damn extra cushion. I started looking at the numbers. It's like, holy fuck, we're gonna have to grind it out. And then there's nothing much that happened. There was a lot of stretches where we were just, running. There was a for people that are scared of animals, like George said. So when George signed up for a 200 mile, I don't know, he messaged me about the night, and I told him the same thing I told Victoria, because he was saying about spiders and all these things. I'm like, dude, that's the least of your worries. But Victoria told me that was a noise, and at that point I was behind, and it was a freaking big ass rattlesnake on the side, dude. It went. Zzz. I was like, oh shit. And then at one point we heard a bunch of coyotes. They were not that far. There was like a pack of them, and I was like, holy shit.
I was like not even concerned. I'm like,
I think you had your headphones on.
No,
Don't lie.
I didn't.
You never play music the whole
I
time.
only did once, and it was the time where I don't remember. We were like far apart, and I was like, okay, I need something, and it was a motivational podcast that I listened to during training, and I was like, this is gonna get me through this little piece right here. So it wasn't music. It was Kobe Bryant talking.
It's Kobe Bryant.
Talking to my ear, saying, "Rest at the end, not in the middle."
Okay, so are you gonna give all the credit to Kobe Bryant, or what got you through the hardest moment? Because there's a lot of hard moments for everyone.
Like I did this for me. I mean, like like I said, from where I come from, like even my childhood, my upbringing, like this was not something that I would have ever even dreamed for myself, or even a lot of people in my community or my family. And I wanted to do this for that girl, that person, and having that in my mind was like, I can't like fail myself. And then of course, I had my daughters who were aware of what I was doing, and they were so proud and excited for me, and my parents, they were so excited for me too. And just bringing it home for them, like honestly, I'm going to give my medal to my parents because they deserve it. They created me. They created this person, And so anyways, yeah, that's what I kept thinking about. Like, I have to do this. I am going to do this. I'm not going to leave without it.
Yeah, so for this stuff, I think you have to find a why sometimes, even whether it's before or sometimes once you're in it, you can't just be like, I want to, for a medal, which is cool. It symbolizes what you did. For me, it was her. I knew it meant something for her. She thinks that I minimize it, or that I wasn't saying like, this ain't shit. Like, it's just an. No, man. Like, I just actually didn't want to really run it because I knew that I was gonna have to grind it, and I don't have the training for it. So, for me, it was never about me anymore. Every race that I ever done, the hardest things that I ever done, it's always been my sons. It's always been like, I'm gonna do something. So I think now they're just kind of almost like whatever. They don't really worry that I finish or not. They're just like, he's doing another freaking race. Like, but I know.
But I think they're at an age and a place now where they are more aware of what you're really doing and what it took to get it done, because they definitely like
Yeah, they do once in a while. They'll tell
that
me,
they were invested in how we were feeling,
yeah,
and they realized that their support was very helpful to getting
oh
us
yeah.
there.
Once in a while, is like throughout the years, they'll have like a teacher or someone that's like, hey, they know about you and this and that. So I think for them, that was always been my why, is to show them that you can do hard things, and that you don't give up. And again, it could be many reasons why someone doesn't finish a race, but I know for a fact that all of us do have a way out. Um, I have bilateral torn meniscus. You don't think my freaking knees hurt? Like, there's always something why, but I would say definitely if you're gonna do something hard, like, find your why you're gonna do it. And then for this particular race, on a personal level, to do another 50 miler, there was nothing in it for me like that. But
And we had this conversation on the way over here, actually. Like, what he just said, like, that he was not, like, it was, yeah, he was looking forward to it for, because I was going to be running, and of course a lot of our friends were going to be there, but it really didn't have much meaning for him. And he had been saying that throughout the last few months, and I didn't say anything, and I was explaining to him, okay, I understand that, but for you, I mean, but for me, this is definitely something that is important to me, and that's going to mean a lot to me. I mean, this was a great race that they put on, but it's not even, the race, it's just the experience that, that you're getting the opportunity to get out there and to go deep and to push yourself past your limits. You're pushing yourself. Nobody else is going to push you. There is no bias in this. You either get it done or you don't. So to me, that's what it meant to me. It meant it meant a lot to me.
and I had to clarify that, because what I was trying to tell her is that I didn't think, not that the race was harder. Any 50 mile, I don't care where you do it, it's 50 miles no matter what. We gotten used to, like today, we're sitting around eating breakfast, Jorge, Rocky, myself, and we're just talking about it in general for longevity. Jorge's 20, all of us are in our 40s. I think some are
Hmm.
close to 50. And we talked about like longevity, training for all this stuff. But everyone that I know now, or for the last few years, they all done 100 miles. They all done 200 miles. So it becomes very kind of like nonchalant a little bit about like distances, running marathons on the weekends like nothing. But the reality is, in the world, I think they say, what is it, like 1% in the
I
world
think it's higher now, but yeah, I
higher.
mean,
Maybe it's a little higher, but
Two
let's say
percent now.
2% of the world will have or will ever run a marathon. So how many have done 50 miles, 100? So that at the end of the day, if you're not in the community or in the circles, your day to day, I would average people, whatever you want to call it. Not everybody's running this distance. So 50 milers is still freaking 50 miles. You get me? So to clarify, that's what I told her. Is like, I'm not saying none of that. And I also did share something with her that I think I do that for myself, because I have my own, not doubts, but I have my own like things that I have to get through my mindset. And I have always done that. No matter how big the challenge is, I I make it smaller, smaller. And I told her before the race, we're gonna look at 5 miles. We're gonna do a bunch of 5 miles, 10 of them, 5 miles, and then we worry about the next 5 miles. And what I didn't foresee is that those damn 5 miles were gonna become so damn hard. Because at the beginning it was like, cool, we did 5 miles, 10 miles. We're like cruising 20 miles. Then after that, man, those next 5 mile gaps
Yeah.
sucked. Like it was,
I would say the last 5 miles were the hardest for me.
oh yeah.
That was when, I guess they say, like, I don't know, like, just I wouldn't say the pain cave, but maybe it was just like how this is taking all of me now.
And especially because leading up to the last aid station and the last stretch, you're freaking first. You go on this canyon that is like never ending fucking canyon, and that starts hurting your legs because you're just going. You drop. I don't know what. I don't even look at the description, but it had to be a couple thousand feet that you drop on this canyon, like long, and then you just hit like a riverbed. It's just sand, like sand dunes
Yeah,
forever.
so you're going down, and like your knees are just getting beat up the whole time, because it's like pretty,
No, it's pretty steep. It's
it's
pretty
pretty
good grade.
steep. So, and it's a long stretch. I don't even know how long it is, but it felt like forever, never ending. And then you go into, like, yeah, like this sand that just feels like it's weighing you down every step you take. and I had to run through it. Like there was no way I could just like walk through it.
Well,
My running is like his walking,
well,
you
our
know.
legs are pretty much a little different. So that's the other thing too. That sometimes I will walk at a fast pace, and she was running. But
Hmm.
it's my freaking legs. I could do that. So again, everybody's own pains and sufferings is different. But I will have to say for sure, she had to really like battle a lot. And then we get to the last aid station, and at that point they say that somebody is behind us. We did see a headline behind, but I guess he didn't continue. And when we get there once again, I told her that I didn't want it. I didn't want to go into the last freaking 5 miles, though, and having to do 15-minute pace for the next 5 miles, because that at that point that was really pushing it for us, man. To run a 15-minute pace per mile, with the terrain and everything, it was not easy. And sure enough, though, we get there,
We gotta
we
hustle.
had to do that. So I lost my pulse again. I lost my freaking pulse. I did ask the race director to see if the sweepers picked them up. I knew basically this was it. This is the race, how it starts. And it's crazy because I kept seeing on this. So there's this tea bags that are called Buddha, and they have little messages. And I got like 2 times the same message. It was like, what does it say? Something about racing and winning. What does it say? Do you remember?
Mm-mm.
God damn it. That
It's not it's the journey. The rate.
we
I don't know.
screwed up.
Yeah.
Anyways, but he had to do
I don't
something about
know.
between racing and sort of like, I think the metaphor was like that you start winning when you start enjoying like the
Yeah.
journey. So at that point, but at this point, there's no journey anymore. This is race. Like we need to race against ourselves and the clock. So it's like 5 miles. We have to do 15-minute pace, otherwise we won't make it. And I already kind of I thought. I mean, they let us. If we get there at like, I think last year they did let a few people 30 minutes after the the cutoff time continue. So, but I was not gonna try to like,
I was in my mind,
yeah,
I
we
was
were
like,
gonna do.
I'm not going to leave anything behind because I don't want this to haunt me after this. So I'm going to
Yeah,
run the entire time. Like, and that's what kept
yeah.
me moving. Like, just even if I was moving, like barely moving, I was moving because I was thinking, like, I already know, I think that's when you have a hard time accepting when you have to tap out or when you have to walk away. It's because you slightly know that there was something left, and I didn't want to think about that. Like I didn't want that to be something that I left feeling. So
So
that's
what?
what kept me going.
So how did you feel at the like on the last stretch at the finish line?
The
Oh,
last stretch
the
in the
lesson.
finish line, I felt like it was surreal. Like it was like I was dreaming. Like it just didn't like everybody was like talking and I just didn't hear anything. It was just quiet because I could not believe the experience that I just had and that it was over. Like,
Did you
okay,
feel
this
like
is
the
the end.
weight dropped off your shoulders a little bit?
Yeah.
Eh, And you know what's crazy about that? The last part too is that at one point Jose did ran. I think the last mile came up with us, and then he did tell us that the race director they were cool that we were gonna get there because we were looking at the time and we were gonna get exactly at the time, at the pace that we were going. We were gonna do that, but then when he told me that, about the whole thing of last year and giving a little grace period, turned down the jets a little bit because up to the point though.
Not me.
Well, not
I
for her,
was
but for
trying.
me, because I will do. There was a stretch, and I was looking at my Garmin, though. There was a stretch where like I was hitting like 720. I don't even know how because at that point I'm hurting too, but in a little bit, I thought like at that point she was probably even gonna run faster than me, because I was like she knows that we have to finish, so she's going. But then when I would go really fast and she couldn't go at the pace, I was kind of like, oh, we're not gonna make it. And I mean, she don't know how I felt, but I was like, I was looking at it. It's like, okay, that was 14, that was 15, that was 16. We can't have no more 16s. And this is to get there exactly at the time. But yeah, man, it was definitely it was
Think
a different experience for me.
that was why it was so hard the last 5 miles because I had been pushing for so long and like I was just like, come on, like trying to push a little harder and that was frustrating me that like that's where
Yeah.
I was. Um and I also wanted to make it, you know what I mean? Like I told you, like I'm pushing as hard as I can, but I also want to finish this race. Like I don't want to like go all out, like like turn on the nitro and then it's just like that's it, like at mile 40 because I like went way too hard. So I was going hard, but I knew I needed to leave a little bit in the tank just to make sure that I made it to 50.
Yeah, but once we were at 45, there was no being nothing left.
Yeah.
And then I know that at that particular point, I lost my pulse because I'm like, I know shit's about to get real and we really have to push more. So I took out my windbreaker. So I was like, I'm going to get overheated. Took out my windbreaker. And when I did all of that, I put down my pulse. So my pulse are either over there or somebody picked them up. Um, but when we were running, it was just kind of like it was an experience for me because now for me to racing, I'm not competing. I'm not gonna win. I'm not gonna win any race. But also, I'm not the last motherfucker. So for me, like typically, I'm in the middle of the pack. I'll finish like in the middle of the whole thing. So to be the last finisher is actually so crazy that it feels actually special to me because the way I look at it, and I do tell people at my own races, is like you're not the last place. Because first of all, I think this race, what was the number that didn't show up? Like 20 something too.
29 didn't show up.
So it was 29 no shows and 28 DNFs. So that's 50 people behind us. We were DFL, but we're not the last motherfucker. There was almost 50 people behind us. And that's the way you gotta look at it. You don't gotta look at it.
I didn't even care.
Yeah,
like,
she didn't
to
care.
Me,
I was just
I was like, I just want to finish and get my medal. That's all I care about. I don't care about where I end up. Like, I didn't care about anybody else, honestly.
what I was gonna say as a couple too.
Yeah, I was going to say something about
see,
that
you see
too.
how it works because for me, I'm always I'm bossy, and I talk the way I do, and I had to kind of balance a little bit where I will feel kind of like I'm encouraging, but there was points where I'm just like, I think I did tell her, I don't even know if she heard me, but anyways, I will be like, I know, like you're hurting and this, but you gotta find another gear, like we gotta do, or we're not gonna freaking finish this race. But there was, think about this, 14 hours out there, 14 and a half, whatever it was, being out there, there was not one moment where I felt frustrated. There was no moment where she was frustrated. And we are in fucking pain, cold, hungry, everything you can think of. So I really took, that's what I take out of this race. That is like, if you're really going to find out, take your partner and then go to 50 miles together.
I was just going to say that.
Just in the present moment.
I was just going to say that. I think that this is like the ultimate couples test because you're like in the most uncomfortable state, both of you, and can you like still support each other through that? And I mean, I know that he was pushing himself, and that kept that and keeping the pace for us. And I was just, feeling like after this race, I'm gonna let him know how thankful I am. I pride myself on doing everything alone. Like, I've always been like that. But I was truly grateful to have him out there, and I do not think that I would have been able to finish it if I didn't have him pushing me. And like that's like every time he would say things like, "You're gonna have to find another gear," I would say, "Okay, okay." Like, like I wasn't. I knew that he was saying that to me, and I was still gonna go as hard as I could and do what I could. But I knew he was doing that because he wanted to make sure that I got to where I needed to be. So I couldn't be upset with that.
You did cross my mind when I would say those things. Like, I was just waiting for her to kind of snap. Because I was just, because I felt, but I was like, if I get there and she's not aware of, like, she's not really like, she's just focused on moving her body, right? She's not aware a lot of like how many minutes are left, how many. And I'm pretty good with that shit. Like I could pretty much dial in how many miles are left, how fast have we been. I know how to calculate it. Sometimes crewing like a couple people in Cocodona, that's what I was doing for them. I was like logistics, and I'm pretty good with that shit. So I knew exactly. It was not even like I don't know, we just need to go harder. No, it was like specifically we need to do this, and I know that she's pushing hard, so that was no question. So when I would tell her, you need to push harder, I already know that she couldn't push harder, but I was just like, and I thought maybe at one point she was gonna be like, motherfucker, I'm trying to go faster. She doesn't talk. I wouldn't talk to each other like that, but just in her head, yeah, just on her mind.
And then he knows that I'm saying that in my
Yeah,
mind.
but she would just say, okay. I'm like, all right, then let's fucking go. And it was like, but no, it was a great experience, honestly, like overall. So we love ultra running because it does definitely challenge you in many ways.
And I wouldn't have changed anything about the experience.
It
Like
was
I
awesome.
feel like it was like a competitive race because of the time cutoffs, and I appreciate that. I mean, like it's gonna make me appreciate this a whole lot more. That's why I think at the end I got very emotional because I'm like, ugh, it's yeah, we were pushing for 6 hours and now it's over and we didn't die.
And when we say
We're good.
we're pushing for 6, it's because like the first half of the race, the one thing is like, okay, if we barely made it at the cutoff time, and let's say we would not continue, I would have been fine with that too, in the sense that I was not giving up, she was not giving up. But you also have to, and this is like, as a race director, you do gotta respect the race, and you can't, you know, complain or whatever. It's like you got the time, that's what it is. Now, 2 minutes after, 3 minutes, come on, like 5 minutes. I think most race directors, and shout out to the, James, the race director and everything, that they were cool enough. I think for us at the overall time, it was 10 minutes off. And it's like, dude, we busted our ass. Like, so they were understanding. But one thing is like, even I will tell you for my race, if that's the case, believe me that, and anyone that did my October race know that I'm very generous with that. But when people, like, if they don't want to listen, they just want to go on their own, you can't do that, man. Like, you got people, out there in the middle of the fucking mountains. You got to like, so my takeaway from that part is that I tell it to my runners, and I'm going to tell it to myself, is like, I don't, that was a special race for me because it's been so long since I had to actually like dig that deep to freaking finish the race. Most of the race I know exactly, and I cruise around, I talk to people, I invite them to my race. I do all my it's more for me like an experience of just hanging out. But to have to go freaking like that, I think if it wasn't that it was for her racing, I would have just been on my own, and I was just out there, dude, about 35. Where's the fucking burgers, man? Let me go eat. What the fuck am I gonna go do there for another 15 miles? Like, there's no, it didn't have that meaning. But I'm with her, so that means the world to her, and we're gonna grind and we're not gonna give up. And that's kind of like my takeaways from this race. And so everybody out there, if you wanna do this hard stuff, it's also for safety, honestly. I talked to myself about this, and I was like, damn, we legit in the Anza Borrego freaking desert, dude, by ourselves, just us. And you got it, like, safety first, man. So you got to put in the work, and don't leave it up to chance, man. And so any races going forward, including I'm gonna do my own 100 miler, I have to put in the time, and there's only so much you can continue to go based on your grid and all of that. You're doing it to your body. Last night was tough, man. I think both of us were feeling about the same way. Like, she was freaking hot as hell. But you know what I found out? Rocky said that the damn heater was hot as hell. I think it was the heater.
No,
I think it was. I thought it was
no,
us.
I don't
No,
think it was a heater. I think my body was just like,
I was
I
feeling hot and cold.
I don't know. It just was like the temperature was off. Like I was having like a, what is it? Like when you're
Hot, yeah.
like I was cold, but I was sweating. Yeah, like I was cold, but I was sweating, and then my stomach was just not like, it was not happy
We
from everything that I mean, from all the gels and the electrolyte mixes, and yeah, we didn't get to really eat any solids because we were grinding.
can goose all
So
day.
we didn't even get to really stop at any aid stations to enjoy anything. I mean, I grabbed like a piece of a banana and maybe a watermelon once or twice, and I think at the last aid station I grabbed a piece of peanut butter and jelly and ate it as we went. And ugh, that was a bad decision too, because that felt so gross after. But yeah, I just felt like sick to my stomach. But
But your body,
it's okay. Your body it's gonna tell you, like my body did what I needed it to do. And then afterwards, it was like, okay, now we're gonna tell you how we feel about you.
I think everybody, even George was talking about this morning, his stomach has been like, that's one of the biggest issues, digestion and stuff like that. You go through so much stuff, you're pushing, you're stressing your body in any way you can. I wouldn't even think I felt stressed about the whole cutoff times. I felt like I was very focused. Like, I knew what we had to do. I wasn't stressing about that. But your body in general goes through stuff because,
Yeah, me neither. I was like,
yeah, I was
if
not
there's a
tripping about it.
possibility, okay, we can do it. We can do
Yeah.
it. Like, I believed in us. Like, I believed that it was gonna happen.
Do you remember what I told you? If you never watched the documentary by C.T. Fletcher, it's called My Obsession, something like that. It's a badass fucking motivational. And I told her, as soon as we were allowed to continue, I told her, I probably messed it up, but it says as long as you're alive and as long as you're breathing, you still have a set. Because his background is weightlifting. He's like, as long as you're alive and as long as you're breathing, you still have it. But he says, you still have a set, motherfucker. One more rep. And that's what I told her. I'm like, I told her, we got one more rep, one more mile. As long as we're fucking out here, we got one more mile. And that was it, man. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. But yeah, your body goes through a lot. My son's hooked up with some burgers. I can't wait. I made two burgers, by the way. I think I was the only one that hooked two burgers. I take the first bite. I think my freaking roof of my mouth, bro. That shit went numb and like it fucked me up, dude. Like it's just a rough thing, man. But anything you want to add about your experience or what you got? What's your next? Like, okay, do you want to do this shit again,
Yeah.
or you're retiring?
Well,
What's next?
first, I want to say that whether it's your first mile, your first 5K, 10K, half, marathon, ultra race, anything is possible. I mean, no matter where you come from or who you are, anything is possible. You, you just got to get started. You got to decide, put your plan together, put in the work, and you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And even if you're coming from just wanting to start losing weight and then you get into this, like me, I mean, like it's been 15 years and it started with at-home workouts to now I'm doing this. I'm doing more performance trainings. I'm not focused on what I look like or losing weight. It's more of just putting myself now through like challenges and growing, you know, spiritually, you know, with my mindset. All of those things are important to me now. So, yes, I really hope that you take away from my experience that there is hope for everyone.
Oh,
And yeah, I have another ultra race in April with yours.
oh,
Yeah, I'll be
uh,
doing
100K.
100K, and I decided to do that because, first of all, there's the new
20-mile
loop.
loop.
There's a new 20-mile loop that I helped to establish, and I've done it a few times, and I have slowly grown to not hate it, and I want to conquer that
She was she was the guinea pig.
in this coming year. So that'll be 60 miles or a little over 60 miles, and it will definitely be much more challenging than this. I think that if you can do that, you can do anything. Honestly, his trail is no joke. So
Yeah.
if you can conquer that, you can definitely conquer anything. That's why I felt so confident in being able to do a 50 miler because you know, earlier this past year I did the 50K, which was a little over 30 miles, and I just felt so much confidence from just being able to do that. So that's what's up on my list. I don't know if I'll push the distance any further than that. There's still a lot of other things I'd like to do. You know, maybe get back into some of my functional fitness competitions and, you know, other sports. But we'll see. I always leave the door open. Like I don't put myself in a box or like try to put too much, like plan too much ahead. Because I also want to see what the universe brings to me. Because I had no idea that I would be doing this um, this year, last year.
Did you learn anything
From
like
this experience,
from the race in terms of what you can do on the next adventure?
yes, I knew that this was going to be more of an experience, like gaining experience to carry on versus a performance. So, yeah, I learned that I need to do more training. I'm going to definitely need to do more training, terrain training, like different terrains, and get uncomfortable with the climate. I need to get comfortable being cold. And I think now that I got my nutrition down towards the end of my training period, and I'll be able to follow. Now I'll know better for when I start training for his race. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break in December from running, not run so much, and then pick it back up in January.
So I want to close this by, and I don't want to forget this. And it's not that I'm going to forget. It's like one of my blessings that I have in life is the friends that I met through this suffering of hobby that we have. And in this trip, we had Rocky, Lorena, Jorge. My sons were here. The
Cindy and Jose.
Cindy and Jose, they were over there.
Leslie. Shout out to
Leslie,
Leslie. Thank you so much.
Jose. I mean, yeah, there's just so many to mention, but it's always special for me. Like, it don't matter what race I do, I always see people, I get new friends that they say, oh, hey, you're the machete guy. It sounds funny, but I was like, yeah, it's me. My name is whatever. So with that said, it's like, honestly, that's one of the best things about this whole thing for me is like our extended family, friends that we have now. and they all play a role. George was sending me Texas about the last 5 miles. He's like, man, you almost there. And then throughout that, like the reception is very spotty, so we can't really, get all that stuff. But anyone that sent a message of encouragement, they were saying she's doing so good and this and that. And shout out to you guys, and that's what I want to end it with. Stay tuned. Again, with these videos that we're doing, we want to share different experiences and hopefully take away from something. And if you want to take one takeaway from me, is train harder, take care of your body, because yes, you can grind through these races, but you don't want to do it to your body too often. Getting up this morning and sitting on the fucking toilet, like it was rough, man. I having a hard time bending my knee, but take care of your body and just do it. Sign up for something that scares you and put in the work. So with that said, we'll have George end the interview. Just stop it right, let's see.